Just look at these scenic shots. A landlocked country. The country's nature is breathtaking in its beauty. There are no oil deposits or any minerals. There is some iron ore, but on a global scale, it's a drop in the ocean. And yet, you are not allowed to pay an employee less than $2,600 a month in this wonderful country, even if they lack education, experience, and any qualifications. And lately, this country is also being talked about more and more as a spacefaring nation. The government spends almost 2% of GDP on developing this industry. That's really a lot. In 10 years, space sector will receive up to 5% of the GDP. The state is so much concerned about its future that the government has even passed a law on resource extraction on asteroids. Sure, it all seems like science fiction now, but who knows? Maybe soon such laws will facilitate this country to extract resources from other celestial bodies. Guess which country we're talking about? But before we begin, make sure you've subscribed to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated with future content. And as usual, the longer you watch, the more interesting it becomes because the most surprising things always show up at the end of the video. We want to remain what we are. These exact words are carved on the pediment of the capital's town hall in Luxembourg. For more than 1,000 years, the people of Luxembourg have been fighting for this right. However, is it just independence that makes Luxembourg the richest country in Europe? What is the main secret of this country? What is wrong with Luxembourg? Let's check it out. Surprisingly, most people know nothing about this country except its name. Indeed, it is a small piece of land with a population of 640,000 people. It's about like Las Vegas or Boston. A small piece of land, hardly visible on the world map unless you use a microscope in the northwest of Europe, between France, Germany, and Belgium, is home to a nation offering extremely high standards of living. To realize the scale of its success, we need to talk about numbers, just the facts. In the world's ranking of prosperous countries, it ranks 7th. Even such states as Germany, South Korea, and the United Arab Emirates are behind it. There are a lot of rich people in Luxembourg. Perhaps someone will say that money does not make you happy. That's certainly true, but hold on a second. Luxembourgers are at the top of the happiness index. There are almost no murders here. The country ranks last in Europe in terms of murder rates. Luxembourg is one of the 10 countries with the highest level of freedom. The average life expectancy of its citizens is 82 years. Such a paradise place. No matter what rankings you choose, the country shows great results. As of 2022, there are as many as 784 cars per 1,000 Luxembourgers. For comparison, in Germany, there are only 628, and in the United Kingdom, 600. The minimum monthly salary in the country is $2,584. Just take a look at the chart of minimum wage growth in Luxembourg. Yet, to be honest, we should also consider the local prices, which are among the highest in Europe. So, how is it possible? What is the secret of the small country's success? The wealth doesn't just come out of nowhere, does it? What is the true origin of this country's wealth? Based on journalistic investigations, Luxembourg is the largest offshore on the planet. In 2013, the country's authorities promised to put an end to its offshore past and vowed to stop luring businesses from all over the world. All because European giants, Germany and France, took a hard line. At the time, the Luxembourg government said it was ready to intensify cooperation with foreign tax authorities. But did it have any effect? Of course not. A couple of years ago, journalists got access to millions of documents on the owners of Luxembourg companies. Just imagine that there are more than 80,000 offshore companies managing assets worth $5.4 trillion. Not millions, not billions, but trillions. That's an incredible sum. All this goodness is spread over an area of only 998 square miles. Cristiano Ronaldo, Brad Pitt, the King of Bahrain, and many other ultra-rich people have chosen this financial paradise. Leaked documents contain data on 37 of the 50 richest French people. What are they all doing in Luxembourg? And the answer is simple. They're hiding their money. Money of suspicious origin enters local firms from all over the world. Leveraging Luxembourg companies offer significant tax advantages in stock transactions. As an example, gains from the sale of shares can be fully tax-free if a few simple conditions are met. A Spanish official investigating financial fraud said the following: Luxembourg acts as an intermediary state whose actions accidentally or deliberately allow criminals and corrupt individuals from around the world to use it for money laundering. Luxembourg ranks first among all cities in the world in terms of the number of banks located there. They are literally everywhere. A huge number of Luxembourg citizens are employed in the banking sector. At the same time, the Ministry of Justice of Luxembourg states that the right to privacy of clients and anonymity should be always observed. Well, it makes sense. The state has no intention of giving up its earnings. Banking secrecy is absolute here. If you deposit your money in a Luxembourg bank, no one, literally no one, will know about it. Many billionaires from all over the world prefer to live here in order to get rid of the tax burden. Not for nothing, Luxembourg is called a tax paradise, and it pays off. The country ranks first in the world in terms of GDP per capita, ahead of all oil-producing countries and economic giants like the USA or Germany. The GDP per capita is more than 5 times that of Saudi Arabia. Journalists and investigators of tax avoidance schemes in Luxembourg are often put on trial. Investigating the origin of billions of dollars is a dangerous business. The stratagems used by the world's corporations to evade taxes must remain secret. This is the principle that guides the authorities of the country. Certainly, the authorities would have failed to create such an oasis of prosperity if the country had not defended its independence. The history of Luxembourg dates back to 963, when Count Siegfried became the owner of a massive rock on which he built a castle. Siegfried's descendants expanded their territories through wars, political marriages, and treaties. Surprisingly, a state founded as a lone fortress in the heart of Europe has managed to pass through the ages and survive to this day. Empires have come and gone, alliances have been forged and dissolved, but Luxembourg is still there today. Obviously, various states also pretended to occupy this territory. All that led to bloody battles, and the fortress was under siege more than 20 times. After the collapse of Napoleon's empire, the status of Luxembourg was not defined. Total mess. On one hand, Luxembourg was an independent principality, but on the other hand, it was headed by the King of the Netherlands. His name was William I, and he taxed the citizens of the country heavily so that they were constantly on strike and caused a lot of problems. After much torment, the authorities decided to sell Luxembourg to France in 1866, but the German part of the population opposed. So, in 1867, it was decided to convene a special conference on the Luxembourg issue. On that occasion, Russian Empire, Great Britain, France, and Prussia signed a treaty recognizing Luxembourg as an eternally neutral state. For almost half a century, the small state retained this status, despite all the power struggles that were taking place in Europe at the time. Germany failed in its attempt to annex the country in 1914, and during World War II, it occupied Luxembourg and forced Germanization there. And that was despite the fact that in 1939, Hitler promised Luxembourg that he would not invade the state and respect its neutrality, but he did not keep his word. The ruling elite was forced to live in exile. In that war, more than 2% of the population of the duchy died, but at the end of the war, the country still managed to maintain its independence. It may sound strange, but by 1940, when the whole of Europe was preparing for a big bloody war, Luxembourg's armed forces numbered only 294 soldiers and non-commissioned officers, plus a few military men from companies and the Royal Gendarmerie. They had no chance to defend themselves. Once the French, Spanish, Dutch, and Austrians also ruled here, so Luxembourg did shrink in size over time. The country's territory was once 3 times larger than it is today. As for the ruling dynasty, traditionally the throne of the Grand Duchy is passed on to the eldest male in the family. The ducal family is very popular among Luxembourgers. It symbolizes the stability and prosperity of a small nation. The state has been lucky with its rulers. Luxembourg's ties with European Freemasonry also has had its own impact. However, nowadays the country is a member of NATO. Our attentive audience may argue, but what about neutrality? The whole thing was done on the sly. First, in 1948, the article on neutrality was cut from the Constitution of Luxembourg, and the next year, the Grand Duchy joined the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Thus, the state with an armed force of as many as 900 people was able to get a reliable defense. Now, on the territory of Luxembourg, there are several important military bases of NATO, where military equipment and equipment for the U.S. Rapid Deployment Forces are stored. The U.S. assured it would give Luxembourg its full support if anyone attacked its tiny partner. Not many people know that half of the population of Luxembourg is made up of immigrants without citizenship, and this favors the passport holders. They do not want to share their privileges, high payments, and benefits. Another interesting fact, there are many pensioners among the natives who own land, the cost of which is estimated in millions of euros. Despite the size of the country, Luxembourg is home to the Secretariat of the European Parliament, the European Investment Bank, and the European Court of Auditors. Major organizations seek to open their offices here. By the way, everyone probably knows about Schengen. This visa allows you to easily travel through a range of European countries. So, this agreement was signed in the Schengen Village, which is located in Luxembourg. To sum up, it is the country's financial sector that ensures the highest per capita income in the EU. So, there is nothing surprising that the country's authorities are doing their utmost to protect such a business model. They are unlikely to go along with European politicians who talk about democracy and openness of the economy. After all, when it comes to big money, all of these things take a back seat. We are curious to hear your opinion about this video in the comments. At this point, we get to the end of our video. We hope you liked the video. Please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on your way out. This will only take a split second, but surely pump the YouTube algorithm to bring our videos to the top. See you in the next video.